So I think it was Picasso who said, art is the lie that makes us see the truth. That's in the back of my mind a lot, that. So creatively, it's like I lie in bed now and I can see a picture quite clearly in my mind's eye. After 50 years of taking pictures, I can pretty much put it together. And I don't get locked into that, but I sort of draw a picture of what I want in my mind's eye, and then I go out and try and execute it. So I just went out into the desert on a trip, and I did and didn't do that. I came back with things that I didn't expect, and I came back with things that I expected. So that's the creative process, is just putting your big toe in the water all the time and experimenting. I'm predominantly known, or I was predominantly known, as a celebrity or record cover photographer, because celebrity, and when you do album covers for Madonna and Roy Orbison and Graceland and stuff, I suppose they stick like glue to you. But my career started in around 75 in LA. I had no real formal training in photography, but I have a sort of an art. I went to uni and had an arts degree. I had a very, very good career, and I moved to Australia in about 89 or so, back to Australia. And I started doing advertising. By about 95 or so, I started to think that, I can't do this for the rest of my life. So I did my first exhibition, but it was all over in 5 minutes. And I started to think to myself, this is kind of a little bit disappointing, because it's all gone, and what happens now? And I thought, well, what I really need to do is books. I'm going to do books, I said to myself, because it's a fabulous thing to do. I approached it as a portrait photographer, not a wildlife photographer. I still, to this day, I approach everything as a portrait. I took portraits of the animals at Taronga and Western Plains Zoo on a background. I formalised the whole encounter, and luckily enough the zoo were happy enough to go along with what I wanted to do, and pretty much go in and photograph them. I have this deep love of animals and nature, and this was the start of a slow progression for me towards photographing the natural world. And I suppose that started in 1996. Every day I would go up to the store and I would pick out a flower or a leaf or a green, and I would bring it back into the house here, and I had a daylight studio and my 4x5 camera set up, and I would take a photograph every day of a different plant. I talked to it like it was a portrait. I even conversed with them. I wanted to get to know them. And I spent a lot of time. That's very difficult when something doesn't talk back to you. It's a kind of whole different world. And I think that the bird book has been my first really true love with the whole beauty and light and colour of the animal world, because it's an intimate study of birds, and they're not birds on a perch, they're animated and fly. And I built a special tent for it with the lights on the outside, and we took the keeper or the bird handler inside with the bird, and I tried to get the bird to fly. And I used digital photography because the speed of digital was the secret, and the speed of flash and the speed of the digital camera was the secret in freezing the action of the birds. So the beauty in that, you see the speed in this camera? It's unbelievable. It's got really short flash duration, but the camera is really quick. It's perfect. I'm interested now in landscapes and birds and putting the whole thing together in this sort of mystical way. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to just get on, get these birds in a wonderful landscape scene and make them come alive, and make the whole scene come alive, and animate it and just build it up. The truth is, with file management and size of file and quality, is when you start to do say a 1.5, 2 meter file, you're going to know very quickly how good your camera is. And I'm telling you, the Fuji camera is brilliant at this, because I often crop into some of my landscape images and manipulate them, and I have so much room to do that in. I'm never sort of scared about blowing something up, and I can even extrapolate them and even make them bigger again, and I can maintain this quality. So in the final print, everything has to look equally as sharp and perfectly executed, so that there's no discrepancy between the images. And I like also that I've got plenty of quality and depth of field all the time. I'm a classically trained photographer, and I like everything in focus. So I use my camera on a tripod, and I'm sort of still a bit old school about that. And I look through the lens. I still almost shoot one frame at a time. I don't multiple shoot. I spend a lot of time by myself now, out in the bush and at locations, and it's very easy for me. Sometimes I have to walk maybe a couple of Ks to a waterfall or something, and the camera, it's very light, compact. I know I've literally got the camera in my hand, throw the tripod over my head and head into the bush. A large format camera with me, I just take the tripod. When you go to a really big print, I'm talking about 1.5 meters, 2 meters, right? I can go there easy on that camera. It's perfect. So my file, if you're retouching and stuff and looking at images, you can't really, you know they're big and they're crisp, but when you start blowing them up, the truth is revealed really quickly. And I am so impressed by the quality in my large prints. And you can only do this with a large format camera, where you can blow up and manipulate things and still have this inbuilt quality, so I can match it, so that everything looks like it's shot being on one frame in one camera. And I can do this on the Fuji.